Hello and welcome to our YouTube channel. Today we're going to go over about how to create more business for yourself as a real estate agent.
It's so important to know how to lead gen.
What do you do? What do you do as a real estate agent? What's your job, other than obviously make a profit? But all that being said, you gotta determine what your job is. Our job is to be generating leads all the time.
Right, so that's our only job as a realtor. Of course, you have to take care of your clients.
Do some marketing and such.
You have to, but your main job in order to be a realtor is to generate those leads. Otherwise, you don't have a buyer and a seller. You don't have listings.
Get out there in front of more people.
Right.
That's what it's about.
That's your job. So we talked last week on our last video about the realtor magazines. There's also so many platforms online for realtors, and this is one that it pops up in my email. Honestly, I don't think I've ever went to the website. I'll read the article in the email. I went to the website today, and it's pretty cool. I may join the website.
I read the articles on this one. So
see, I'm the paper person. I like to read front to back, and he doesn't really read the magazines, but he'll read it if it pops up on his phone.
Right. Yeah, we get like Stacey said, you get it too. An email with all these articles and all these good tips and tricks on what to do to make your business better.
Yep. So there were several topics that we were interested in, but we thought we'd just pull a couple off there. This one here is on lead generation.
So that's what we're going to talk about for the next few minutes anyways, is lead gen and what it means for you and your business. So what do you think, Stace? What do we do for looking for homes to sell?
Well, we look at expireds, because if it's expired, typically they are going to want to sell. It just didn't happen during the time that realtor had it. And sometimes it's not any fault of anybody's, it's just timing of the market. But they'll let it expire, and then we look at expireds on MLS. So if you're not looking at expireds and you're not talking to those sellers that wanted to sell at some point, you're missing out.
Yeah, those sellers have already raised their hand.
Right.
Pick me. I want to sell. So, and unfortunately, generally those sellers blame the agent. Sometimes it is the agent's fault, yeah. But when you're consumer facing, the consumer generally blames whoever is in front of them. So that's the listing agent.
I believe it's just timing.
It is timing.
It's timing of the market. It could be that it's presented a little differently the next time it goes on MLS, or just the right person will see it. It just takes one buyer.
It also depends on marketing. I mean, there's marketing. Agent marketing has something to do with it. Brokerage marketing, probably less these days. But anyway, all that being said, let's jump into what this writer's.
He's talking about different campaigns you can. It's through a CRS data website. We have property data tools. If this is not particularly ours, we do have we have RPR, which is a wonderful data tool in our system. They're talking about campaigns that you can do to generate leads. Home values campaign is one. You can record the high home prices, and then the housing inventory.
Right. Just that's kind of giving people a heads up. Hey, did you know that your home has increased in value?
Right. It'll give them that little nudge maybe to go ahead and put it on the market if they think they can, or know from numbers they can get X from listing their house now because of the information you provided them.
That's right.
Yep.
So basically, you're just going through our MLS through the tax system, through the Realist tax system that our MLS uses. Realist actually scores whether that particular property is likely to sell in the next 60, 90, 120, or not sell, but list. So all that being said, is you go through a neighborhood on realist tax and look at that score. And if the score is high enough, then it's a good marketing spend to send something to that potential seller.
What about the next one?
So the next one, they're talking about sending out, basically doing a sold campaign. And when I think of a sold campaign, I think direct mail. Now, I guess there's some other type sold campaigns that you could do.
There absolutely is. You can do, through our CRM, our website, you can do sold campaigns. And it's giving everybody the information, but it's something you send out to social media and they can click on it and see what's sold in their area. When you think of campaigns, you mostly think of email campaigns. You send out blast email. I like to do the social media, the squeeze page, landing page ones, because it goes on social media and people from all over can see that and click on it, and you're not, because if it goes in someone's email box, their inbox, they're probably not going to read it. They may if you put some catchy thing in the headline, but probably not.
Well, and again, most agents aren't reading things either. It's
No,
just
we're
like
not. I'm guilty.
We started this is based on, we're pulling this off of an email that we received. I read these articles and again, I may not read all of them, but I'll browse the headlines and see what catches my eye, and I'll generally go to that article and read it. Always got to be a call to action, irregardless of what campaign you're using, whether it's a sold campaign or a just listed campaign or whatever. It's a call. Be sure and include that call to action where you're asking for the business. You're asking the potential client to do something that indicates that they're interested.
Right. So there's you can do new listed campaigns, you can do expired, which we've already talked about, solds, and then rising home values. Another thing that I don't do, I don't know if you do, Kevin, is the renters and new buyers campaign.
So the renters, I think that's one that we're just not super consistent on. So kind of goes back to, again, we've been doing this since the early 2000s, and it shows in some of the marketing that we do. We do, I said direct mailers a while ago, and I'm reading through this, and it doesn't even hit direct mailers on any of these campaigns.
Well, it does. This is geographic farming.
Well, okay, so we're down at she's looking at the article, and down at number 8 is geographical farming.
So it's less important, I guess.
Right. So it's way down the list. This list is 10 items, and it's way down the list. But anyway, I think about campaigns, and direct mail comes to mind for me, because it's kind of what used to be the standard.
Well, yeah, direct mail and door knocking.
Door knocking, which we've talked about that this morning with another agent, that I'd much rather door knock than cold call. When you call people on the phone, we're in such a connected society these days through our cell phones. Everybody used to be. People were excited to get that phone call. Yeah. They hung on the wall or sat on the table, and the phone rang, and kids would run to the phone, or parents saying, "Don't answer that," and I'm going to answer it. And yeah. So a phone call had a little more excitement to it way back before the cell phone was so popular. All that said, now we get our phone rings, and it's like,
oh my gosh, the phone is ringing.
Answer another phone call.
Although, call me.
Yeah, we're not saying don't call us. Yeah. But that being said,
we do get a lot of spam calls.
Yeah, people are a lot less excited about getting a phone call today. So I'd rather knock on your door and introduce myself and explain why I'm there and what my plan of action is, per se. Even like with with for sale by owners. And I'll tell you a quick story. Probably one of my best and worst real estate interactions was with a for sale by owner. And they were not happy that I was knocking on their door after the third time. So even threatened to call the police and what have you. And the market was really slow back then, and they realized it, so they called me back and asked me if I was still interested in doing business with them. And again, you know, you're in a sales position, you've got to be relatively thick-skinned, and when somebody's comes back around and they're willing to work with you, you take it.
Yeah, you just roll with it.
Yeah. So anyway, I got yelled at, and even though I was standing in front of them, they were not friendly. But later on, we've done several transactions together, and like I say, one of my best and worst real estate interactions, not transactions. So expired campaigns, likely to move. That likely mover campaign, that's the scoring of that your tax, whether it's realist tax or whatever your MLS is using. That's a campaign that's generated through that system.
It's also open house. If you're not a realtor doing open houses, I know that open houses in certain areas, they're not as popular as they are in other areas, like Dallas. We've been to open houses where they've had a ton of people, and then we've been to open houses around here where there's been zero. I've hosted open houses where 0 people show up here, and then I've hosted open houses where I have 12 people. It's hit or miss with open houses, but I think that if you're not doing open houses, you're missing out, because that's where you're going to get your buyer leads mostly, and neighbors. You're knocking on the doors. Hopefully you're telling the neighbors, hey, I'm having an open house here on Saturday or Sunday, and I just wanted to let you know, so come on by and take a look at the house, or send your family members or your other neighbors. You might want to move people in next door to you. You just let the neighborhood know. You never know when one of those other people might want to sell their house. So it's a good source of generating a lead. You could get a listing, definitely get buyer leads. And I was mistaken about this article. So that I said this article had 10 points. This article's got 8 points. And we're done with this article.
And geographical farming is the 8th point, and it's the last one, and we kind of brushed on it, but basically that's where you pick an area and you commit to that area, that neighborhood, for several months. It takes
several
months
touches
of geographical farming to actually work. So which brings up an interesting point. Back in the day, we paid big money for a Floyd Whitman course. That course taught the concept that it took 7 touches to gain somebody's trust. And I've seen that concept used in multiple sales trainings across all kinds of industries. Gary Keller, founder of Keller Williams, or one of the founding partners of Keller Williams, now says it takes 36 touches, with our world being what it is today, with social media and email, and we're so connected these days that if you're not getting in front of people multiple times, it's harder to gain their trust. Yeah, and they forget about you. Yeah, they forget about you. 36 touches is what Gary Keller claims. I think it's probably somewhere in between the 36 and the 7, and it really depends on the motivation of the person you're in front of. Again, like I say, if you're calling on an expired listing, that person already said, hey, I want to sell. So some of those are a little easier and take less touches. But to be the market expert in a given geographical region, you need to be the person that they see all the time. A lot of people don't know this, but Hobbs and Herder Marketing created a survey. What happened in the survey?
Well, if I remember correctly, they sent out, or however they did, asking people who the number one realtor was in a particular neighborhood, and people had different ideas of who that was. And so then they started marketing this made-up person to this neighborhood, and after I don't know how many touches, how many weeks, they asked the question again, and the poll was, it was the made-up person for the neighborhood.
That's correct. So originally, the original survey yielded, I think it was around 70% was this real live agent that done geographical farming. Basically had that neighborhood sewed up. They were the go-to realtor for that neighborhood. I think it was about 70%, which a market share of 70% is pretty darn good. Anyway, so they, as Stacey said, they made up a realtor, and they sent out marketing for this made up realtor, and within 3 or 4 months, they replaced the go-to live realtor that was actually doing business there with a made-up person, and everybody in the neighborhood overwhelmingly said that this was the made-up guy was the one to go to.
Right.
So just goes to show what you can do with marketing. So be sure and get out there and get in front of people, shake their hands, send them snail mail, send them emails. Just be that person be that agent that's actively building your business. Be that agent of change.
Yep. So there you have it. If you find any value in the videos that we post,
like and subscribe.
Yep. So that you get the little alerts that we have a new video that dropped on YouTube.
Thanks for your time today.